What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Big thanks to all you guys for tuning in, liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell, as I do post new Warriors videos daily, and it does help the channel continue to grow as the season moves along. And also a huge thank you to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Underdog is a skills-based app where you could choose your favorite player to go either higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. And should you get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, for me personally, I've had a lot of fun on Underdog, doing my research with players and just being very selective with guys like Pajemski and choosing to go higher, usually with his points and rebounds, and strategically going lower with his assist totals, as he is a bit of a scorer. And I've also been doing well with Guy Santos and Pat Spencer, going higher with their points totals as well. So now, if you download the app today using this QR code as well as promo code BasketballFan, you can score up to $75 in bonus entries on your first $5 entry. And on top of doing well on with my own picks, the one thing I do love about Underdog is the fact that it sends you push notifications for only the most important transactions, whether it be the Major League Baseball, the NBA, or even the NFL. Over the last few weeks, I've been getting a lot of NFL notifications through Underdog first before I get follow-up notifications from ESPN as well as Twitter. So I do love that, and it always beats everyone else to the punch. So again, don't forget to download the app today using this QR code and promo code BasketballFan to score those $75 in bonus entries on your first $5 entry and join in the fun with me. Now, I know things haven't been fun as a Warriors fan, just seeing them lose over and over and over and over again, but you know what? After last night, I'm glad that they finally got the job done and won. Now, they were a lot healthier than they usually are. They had Porzingis, they had Draymond Green, and they did do their work, especially Porzingis, who I thought was very impressive. And everybody all around was getting the job done. D'Anthony Melton had his usual 27, which I do love. Excuse me. Guy Santos had his 18. Gary Payton II, along with Pat Spencer, finally scored in double digits. And you know what was even more impressive? Kristaps Porzingis had 30 last night against the Wizards. So I really like that. I like how they played together. And yes, it was only a 8-point win, but in fairness, I'll take it because of how well things went. And I know it is the Wizards. They just got whooped last week, giving up 83 points to Bam Adebayo, and I get that. And I understand it's like the Warriors are supposed to win these games, but they haven't been winning these types of games recently. So it's good to see that they're actually putting up a fight. And as long as they put up a fight and continue winning, I think it's important to see how things go moving forward with this team. You still don't want to rush Steph back too quickly. You don't want to make any rash decisions based off of like temporary emotions about wanting to be competitive, wanting to make the playoffs, wanting to make some noise. And at this point, we all know the Warriors aren't going to make any noise in the playoffs. I mean, even if they did find a way to get to the to the 8th seed, get that play-in versus Sun, and somehow win against the 7th seed, I don't know if they're really healthy enough to make that kind of a run. Yes, they could do some damage, but the way this team is right now and how the future looks moving forward, the Warriors are best served just standing pat and not rushing things, because you know what, rushing things leads to worse outcomes, as we saw all those years ago when Kevin Durant was rushed back from his quad injury only to tear his Achilles in the NBA Finals. And we don't want to see that with Steph. And I've said it over and over and over and over again. The worst case scenario is Steph just completely destroys his knee with a ACL tear, and he's out all next season and maybe the season after that. And that's pretty much career ending at his age. So I don't think it's imperative that the team rush any of its injured players back, and they should just let things play out how they are. And the reason I say they should let things play out is because of what happened last night. Porzingis he looked like, as I like to say, he looked like vintage Tingus Pingus from his time with the Knicks. He looked like the guy that got the job done. He was nailing them left and right, and he was just hitting every shot that you can imagine. And yes, I know it is the Wizards, but he looked like the exact guy the Warriors need in order to be successful long term. And I think this is important because we know going into the offseason, there are going to be a lot of changes because one, I mean, after the report we saw for the Knicks game, where 93% of their salary cap was on the injured list, it just goes to show, you know what? There's going to be, outside of Steph, there's going to be a lot of change this offseason. Guys are going to be moved around, but looking at how Porzingis is playing, and as long as he continues to stay healthy and just sort of puts back that injury, I would not be surprised if the Warriors bring him back on maybe a veterans minimum deal or something similar, maybe a taxpayers exception or just something along those deals where he can rebuild his own value and the Warriors could take full advantage of that, having him as that stretch big, playing next to Quentin Post and continuing to get the job done because 30 points. That's exactly what the Warriors need, especially right now. Looking at it, D'Anthony Melton has taken the primary scoring load along with Guy Santos. Obviously, Pajemski's been doing that too, but he's consistently inconsistent, so you're never really sure what you're going to get with him. But having Porzingis as that big 7-2 guy who could stretch the floor, shoot from three, and get the job done, and then, you know what, maybe they figure out how to pair him with Quentin Post, both who are distance big men. I like where this can go, and it gets me really excited, not only for the rest of this season, but going into next season as well, because he's definitely coming back next season. I don't know about anybody else, but I know he'll be there along with Steph and Draymond. Now, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Now, playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, this week on Underdog, I am looking at specifically the specifically the Pacers Knicks game and choosing Jalen Brunson to go higher than his usual 28.5 points, as well as Karl Anthony Towns to go higher than his usual 11.5 rebounds. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Now, since I was talking about Porzingis, the other guy I got to talk about who, honestly, it was a rumor. I thought it was a bit far-fetched of a rumor. But the more I think about it, the more realistic it becomes. And that idea is this trade rumor regarding Jason Tatum to the Warriors in exchange for Jimmy Butler and draft compensation and potentially Pajemski and some of the younger guys on the roster. And yeah, Tatum's a star. And I totally get that. And it seems far-fetched. But the more you think about it, the more realistic it seems because one, most importantly, we know where this league is going. This league is all about financial flexibility. And right now, Tatum and the Celtics are the complete opposite of that. They owe both, I believe it's over almost $500 million over the next few years to both Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And after how well this Celtics team has played without Jason Tatum, it brings up so many questions about the future of the Celtics organization. Is he a core piece or is he a luxury? And after him being out all season, he's looking more like a luxury than a core piece. Because if you think about it, dating back, yes, Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been the dynamic duo dating back to their early days in 2018 when they led the Celtics to an improbable run to the Eastern Conference Finals after the team lost both Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving for the season to injury. And that's when the run really began. We thought they were fire and ice. They needed each other to be great. It was like a symbiotic relationship. But as time moved on, and especially after Jaylen Brown won the Finals MVP in 2024, and after he's really gone on this run this year, leading the Celtics to the number 2 seed so far, I think it's probable that, you know what, for the financial flexibility, the Celtics will make a Tatum deal, and who better to make the deal with than the Warriors? And this deal is probably going to revolve around Jimmy Butler draft compensation, which will likely be both this upcoming year, since the trade will take place at the draft, as well as next year, to go along with, I want to say, Pajemski, and then they'll get that deal done. You may think, oh, Jimmy's injured. Yes, but as I've said at the deadline, one of the most valuable commodities under the current CBA aren't draft picks. Well, they are, but they're the second most valuable. The most valuable are expiring contracts. And right now, Jimmy Butler is going to be on a $54 million expiring contract next year. And yes, he isn't going to be immediately available going into next season. He may become available by December, but he still can be that guy. And to be that guy next to Jaylen Brown, and to have pods as well as maybe 2 additional unprotected first-round picks, I think that's something that Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla will be very interested in, because Jimmy and Jaylen Brown are of the same mindset. They both want to win. They both want to get the job done. They are very low maintenance, and they just want to play. They are hoopers. And to have that same mindset along with Pods and whoever the Celtics decide to draft with those 2 first-round picks, it's something that's very interesting. Because you know what? That financial flexibility in the summer of 2027 becomes very valuable to the Celtics as they try and continue that playoff dynasty that they have right now. So don't be surprised if these rumors start to heat up as the season closes out and we get closer and closer to the draft. But it's because of this rumor, along with Porzingis' real showing out, that I really believe that the Dubs have to develop their young talent. They can't rush back Steph. They can't rush back Al Horford. They can't rush back Seth. They just got to let these guys develop on their own, take the losses, learn from those losses, turn those losses into lessons, and then continue to get better as the season moves along. Yes, they may make the 10th seed and get into the final play-in spot, only to get smoked in that first round game. That first play on in game, and that's okay. And then they get to go to the lottery and see where things end up for them. But they do need to let their young guys develop. Steph coming back, Al Horford coming back, that's going to take away a lot of the minutes from the young guys. And the only way these young guys are going to get better is if they continue to play high volume and continue to learn from their mistakes. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, a big thanks to all you guys for tuning in, liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. And a huge thank you to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Again, don't forget to download the app today using this QR code as well as promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score those $75 in bonus entries on your first $5 entry. And if you have any additional thoughts on this whole Jason Tatum rumor, feel free to comment below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, go Dubs.